This agreement is off, Henry. Without hesitation, Kyle delivered the unfathomable, leaving my thoughts in a state of disarray. The value of this job is $10 million. What is he talking about anyway? Why this is so utterly absurd, Kyle, is it not? Kyle, looking smug, just laughed and replied, "Nope, we're fine," even as I yelled. "We'll take care of it internally. If you just accepted it, I wouldn't have gone this far," he remarked next, which just strengthened my resolve. "But to be honest, I don't see us working with a little firm like yours ever again. I'll never be able to forgive Kyle. So the contract is being formally terminated?" I asked for confirmation while trying to control my rage. "Exactly. Sorry about that." His smirk made it clear he wasn't sorry at all, and I felt no inclination to show him any mercy. 1 week later marks the final collection submission deadline and the end of Kyle. My name is Henry, 29 years old. I work at Martin Corporation, which supplies buttons and decorative items to domestic and international fashion brands. I've always loved fashion. I attended a fashion design school in Tokyo, honing my skills and knowledge. Those vibrant days surrounded by eccentric and uniquely quirky classmates and my beloved girlfriend were nothing short of exhilarating. And even now, they're a fond memory. As graduation approached, I was torn. Should I join a fashion brand as a designer or work as a salesperson? During that time of indecision, I came across a button on a new product from a fashion brand that instantly captured my heart. It was ruby red, bold enough to make a statement yet seamlessly integrated into the design. The shape of the button was unique, and it was such a fateful encounter that I decided I wanted to make such a button in the future. "Excuse me, do you know where this button is from or who makes it?" Practically lunging at the store clerk, I pressed for answers. Unable to help immediately, they checked with their headquarters, and that's how I discovered Martin Corporation. When I looked them up, I found that Martin Corporation was hiring new graduates. I applied immediately. I made it to the final interview, passionately sharing with the president, Mr. Martin, how deeply I had fallen in love with Martin's buttons, leaving him teary on the spot and creating a legendary moment. "You're the only one who's ever spoken so passionately about our buttons, Henry. Thank you. It meant a lot to me when I was hired and heard those words from Mr. Martin. At the welcome party, my heart soared. Martin Corporation is a small business with just a handful of employees in each department. Each of those few employees was an expert in their respective field. However, while this was a significant advantage, it also came with a downside. Losing even one person could deal a severe blow to the company. And then it happened. One of our few salespeople had to leave due to family circumstances. While everyone was racking their brains for a solution, the unexpected choice to fill the sales gap turned out to be me. There was a reason for this surprising decision. You see, if you're interested, we actually have this type of button in stock. It's easy to customize, so why not give it a try? Initially assigned as a designer, I would casually chat with visiting suppliers and salespeople from other companies. And by a stroke of luck, those conversations sometimes led to orders, something Mr. Martin had noticed. "I'm really sorry, just temporarily. Can you handle sales, please? I'm begging you." When the respected Mr. Martin bowed his head to me, there was no way I could say no. Plus, the sales manager, Freddie, was a great guy. Freddie, who often chatted with me casually despite being in a different department, would occasionally bring me coffee or chocolate. He felt like an older brother to me. Let me emphasize, though, I was not won over by the coffee or chocolate. "I'm so sorry, Henry. We'll find someone new as soon as possible. I know you've wanted to focus on design, but we need you in sales temporarily." Freddie's genuine guilt made me laugh. "It's fine. Don't worry about it. Honestly, I'm more nervous about being so inexperienced. I'll need your guidance." And so I unexpectedly found myself working in sales. To my surprise, it turned out to be fascinating. Freddie had strong sales expertise and knew a lot about fashion brands and apparel, but he sometimes struggled with more technical aspects. "Here's the thing, you have a button that fits this design?" Something like this conceptually. During one negotiation, a client requested a specific button style. Next to me, Freddie was having a bit of trouble. Designers often have a clear vision of what they want to create in their minds, but putting that into words can be a real challenge for many. I frequently witnessed such struggles back in fashion school while helping my friends with their assignments. "No, that's not it. It's like this, and here it should be like that." With deadlines looming, friends would come to me on the verge of tears, and I found myself constantly carrying colored pencils and sketch pads. I became adept at sketching designs on paper while asking, "Is this what it means?" My knack for turning ideas into visuals meant that, as deadlines approached, it wasn't unusual for a group of classmates to gather around me. Seeing Freddie struggling with a client's request brought me back to those days. I pulled a sketchbook out of my bag and spread it out in front of the client. "Excuse me for interrupting regarding what you were explaining to Freddie earlier," I said quickly, sketching a design on the paper next to me. Freddie looked surprised, and the client's face lit up with a delighted smile. "Yes, exactly. That's what I was thinking, and here we could adjust this a bit more, like this. I carefully translated the client's ideas into a visual form, nodding and incorporating their feedback as I went along. The final design sketch seemed to hit the mark. It was exactly what they had envisioned, and they were delighted. Taking the opportunity, I decided to share my perspective as a designer. If I may, just one suggestion about the collar here. If we adjust it this way, the silhouette would look cleaner and would likely appeal more to your target demographic. I enlarged the sketch of the collar area, and the client's eyes sparkled with understanding. Ah, I see. That's it. Something felt off, and this was the issue. Thanks. Mind if we try this idea out? Should I pay you for your advice? I couldn't help but laugh at that. Oh, no. Consider the advice free. But if my suggestion helps boost your sales, I do have a request. Please consider using Martin buttons for your future designs. I know not every piece will require decorative buttons, but for anything button-related, I hope you'll think of Martin first. You see, our buttons are. As my passion for Martin's buttons kicked in, I began to enthusiastically promote them, only to be stopped by Freddie. Stop. I apologize, Henry. He's the guy who fell in love with our buttons and joined the company because of it. His passion for Martin's buttons is so strong it even brought the president to tears, and once he starts talking about them, he doesn't stop. I'm so sorry. I got carried away. Shrinking a little from my usual habit of over-enthusiasm, I was relieved when the client laughed and graciously accepted it. That's amazing to love your company's product that much. It's impressive. Honestly, I wish my employees would learn from you. The client's candid and lighthearted comment helped me regain my composure. I like to build a long-term partnership with you, and that's not just lip service. I genuinely mean it. Your advice was spot on, and your ability to capture ideas so clearly makes working with you a pleasure. It was a mistake not to have partnered with Martin Corporation sooner. Let's formalize a continuous contract right now. The client extended their hand, and I shook it, overwhelmed with joy. Thanks to this collaboration, Fred and I successfully secured the contract. From that point onward, things continued to progress smoothly, and before I knew it, we had achieved a significant increase in revenue. I'm seriously torn right now. Should we just let Henry stay in sales permanently? It seems I was able to contribute to the company enough to make Mr. Martin say that without hesitation. Tell me, Henry, you're incredible. You clearly have a gift. How about teaching me a thing or two? Wait, Mr. Martin. Hold on. Sales is fun, but I want to work on design closer to you. As for what I could teach Freddie, it would probably just be some theoretical knowledge about fashion brands. We laughed and joked together, sharing both the hard times and the successes, and each busy day passed by with a sense of fulfillment. I'm fortunate to work with great clients and to be surrounded by good people. Of course, rude or thoughtless individuals are out of the question, but I generally don't form strong likes or dislikes for people. After all, everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. There's no such thing as a perfect person. However, there was one time I met someone I simply couldn't get along with, no matter what. That person was Kyle, whom I encountered at a fashion-related exhibition. It's a large-scale event with tons of people attending. Henry, it's your first time, so it might be tiring, but let's do our best together. Yes, I'm ready. I'll showcase the charm of Martin buttons to everyone who stops by. Leave it to me. The exhibition drew top-notch buyers, media professionals, and executives from leading fashion brands. It was a major business opportunity that only came around once a year. I focused entirely on showcasing the new natural stone buttons created by Mr. Martin, which, thanks to their unique cutting method, looked just like gemstones. The natural qualities of the stone gave each button a unique texture, and the way it was cut affected its brilliance. This made it nearly impossible to create identical pieces, but that very uniqueness is what made each button a truly special one-of-a-kind item. Nowadays, more people choose to wear clothes that they personally like and feel good in, rather than simply following trends. For those who want to avoid blending in and prefer something unique, these buttons would undoubtedly strike a chord. As expected, our booth was consistently crowded with visitors, and both Freddie and I, along with the rest of the staff, were kept incredibly busy. "Oh, this is amazing," said Kyle, as he approached and struck up a conversation. "My name is Kyle from Motoy. Nice to meet you." Motoy was a fast-growing apparel brand targeting women over 40, boasting impressive sales figures. "Hello, I'm Freddie from Martin Corporation. Pleased to meet you." "I'm Henry. Nice to meet you as well." Kyle directed numerous questions about the natural stone buttons Martin had presented at the exhibition. "Are these natural stone buttons something special?" "Yes, they are. Compared to traditional natural stone buttons, these have higher durability. Most importantly, each button is one of a kind, which makes them highly appealing to people who prefer unique fashion choices," Freddie explained passionately. As Freddie passionately explained, Kyle responded with a nonchalant tone, picking up one of the sample buttons on display. He rubbed it between his hands, thoughtfully nodded to himself, and then, without warning, threw it from high position like a baseball pitcher. Ah! The button hit the floor with a sharp clink and rolled away. I quickly rushed to pick it up, anxiously inspecting it for any damage. Seeing my reaction, Kyle smirked. Why so panicked? It's supposed to be durable, right? Something like this shouldn't break. Laughing at what he called my overreaction, Kyle seemed amused. Freddie, however, gently but firmly admonished him. Of course it's durable. We stand by that confidently. However, even if it's just a sample, we'd appreciate it if you didn't handle it carelessly. At Freddie's words, Kyle let out a dismissive snort, looking unimpressed. Well, the concept of being one of a kind is good. I'll give you that. Natural stone buttons, huh? Interesting. For a small company like yours, at least you got good eye for ideas. What is with this guy? I had never been treated with such a condescending attitude by someone I just met. A good eye for ideas, just a good eye. Just, seriously, why is he speaking so arrogantly? Before I could say anything, Kyle casually wandered off to another booth. I took a few deep breaths to calm myself down, and as I did, Freddie patted me on the shoulder. Henry, you handled that well. Unfortunately, people like him exist. Though I have to say it's been a while since I've met someone that rude. Thanks to Freddie's support, I managed to calm down. The booth remained bustling with visitors, and as I kept engaging with clients, my mood gradually improved. I thought I saw a woman with black hair pass by out of the corner of my eye. I instinctively turned to look, but she disappeared into the crowd before I could get a better glimpse. Though I couldn't quite shake off the curiosity, I focused on continuing to pitch the natural stone buttons to the numerous visitors who stopped by. By the end of the day, I was tired but had a strong sense of accomplishment. After the exhibition ended, several of the connections we made turned into business negotiations, resulting in successful contracts. As Freddie, the staff, and I celebrated the success of our hard work, we received an unexpected phone call from Kyle. Freddie, it's Kyle from Motoy on the phone. Got it. Hello, this is Freddie speaking. Yes. I watched Freddie closely as his expression and tone transformed into one of delight. Really, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Yes, we'll review it internally and get back to you with our decision as soon as possible. After ending the call, Freddie turned to us with a beaming smile and shouted excitedly, Kyle from Motoy just called. They want to use Martin's natural stone buttons for their new collection to be showcased internationally. It's a $10 million deal, the largest in Martin's history. The mention of $10 million sent cheers echoing throughout the company. Although Mr. Martin was pleased, he calmly called for everyone to stay focused. That's incredible, but when's the deadline? Do we have enough materials? There's a lot we'll need to figure out. Yes, so I've just received an email. They're requesting amethyst buttons, peridot buttons. As Freddie reviewed the email, he saw that it detailed the types and quantities of natural stone buttons required. Among them, a few items raised concerns about the availability of raw materials, which would need to be verified. Mr. Martin looked over the email, gave a firm nod, and declared to everyone, all right, let's make this project a success. It's going to get busy, but I'm counting on everyone's cooperation. His words instantly lifted everyone's spirits. A resounding yes echoed through the room, and I felt my own determination surging. At the factory, production ran at full capacity, and we scrambled to gather any materials that seemed in short supply. The deadline was tight, but everyone worked tirelessly, sacrificing sleep to ensure the project's success. Finally, 2 months later, we managed to meet the deadline. The completed products were carefully packed into boxes, now neatly stacked in the warehouse, ready for delivery. The sight of the neatly stacked boxes, the result of everyone's hard work, filled the team with pride as they looked on. Great job. We made it on time, and it's all thanks to everyone here. I truly appreciate your efforts. Thank you, and this year you can look forward to a great bonus. Everyone was delighted by Mr. Martin's words. While words of appreciation and recognition are rewarding, let's be honest, nothing beats the joy of a bigger paycheck. I, too, began daydreaming about how I'd spend my bonus, unable to suppress a small grin. All right, let's deliver this to Motoy. We handle deliveries to clients all the time, but a deal this big makes me a bit nervous. Don't trip and drive safely, my colleagues called out jokingly as they sent Freddie and me off to Motoy. When we arrived, we were supposed to meet with Kyle, but I'm sorry, Kyle is currently out. When we asked the receptionist to call Kyle for us, she said this, leaving both Freddie and me confused. No matter how many times we asked for confirmation, we got the same response. So we took turns calling Kyle. When I made the call, I finally got through to Kyle. Ah, Kyle, I'm glad I finally got through. Excuse me, but where are you? We've brought the delivery for you. In response to my words, Kyle let out an exaggerated tone. Oh, right about that deal. Yeah, just cancel it. I couldn't understand what Kyle meant and looked up at Freddie while still holding the phone. Freddie gave me a look as if to ask, "What's wrong?" But I couldn't answer. I was too stunned. "Wait a minute. What do you need to cancel? We've already produced the order and brought it to your company." In response, Kyle spoke in an annoyed tone. "Yeah, just cancel it. We don't need it anymore." Kyle's actions made my blood boil. "Don't need it? That's ridiculous." I was so furious that I couldn't find the words. Freddie, his face tense, took the phone from me and put it on speaker. "Henry, the deal's off." Freddie's eyes widened in shock. He spoke so casually about canceling the deal, but I couldn't help thinking about the faces of everyone at the company who had worked so hard on this project. "Why, Kyle? This is outrageous." Kyle sighed at my outburst. His attitude made it seem as though I was the one being unreasonable. "If you just understood, I wouldn't have had to say this. But I don't think we'll be doing business with a small company like yours anymore." I will never forget those words. They were the most infuriating words I had ever heard in my life. Even Freddie's face was filled with an anger I had never seen before. I will never forgive Kyle. "Then you're officially canceling the contract?" I asked, barely holding back my anger. Yeah. Sorry about that." He wasn't sorry at all. I could picture his smug, smirking face in my mind. "I see. Well then, goodbye." I hung up the phone and exchanged glances with Freddie. Overwhelmed by an indescribable exhaustion, I closed my eyes. Freddie patted my shoulder as we headed back to the car, and I didn't say a single word all the way back to the office. "So I see. That must have been tough. I'm sorry, and thank you." Mr. Martin listened to our report and expressed his gratitude for our efforts, even though he must have been just as shocked as we were. I felt tears of frustration welling up. "What should we do now? We've already made so much and we'll have to figure out what to do with the inventory. But don't worry, Henry. We faced tough times before and we'll get through this too." His optimistic words snapped me out of my gloom, making me realize I couldn't afford to wallow. "That's true. I'll double down on sales, give it everything I've got, and I'll help however I can. And I swear I'll make Kyle regret this." Hearing my words, the two of them laughed. "No physical retaliation, Henry." "Yeah, that'd be bad. But I like your determination." "All right, let's all do our best." Mr. Martin then addressed the team, explaining how the sudden cancellation of the deal had been a blow to everyone's morale, leaving the entire company feeling shocked and angry. However, his positive words gradually lifted everyone's spirits, bringing back a sense of hope. What makes Mr. Martin truly remarkable is not just his technical skill, but his ability to inspire and motivate those around him. Still, the question of what to do with inventory worth $10 million lingered in my mind. Just as I was pondering this, I received a call on my phone from someone I hadn't heard from in a long time. It was an unexpected person, and that call would go on to change everything. A week after the canceled deal, Kyle stormed into the office, his face bright red. "Hey, Freddie. Henry." His furious expression startled the female employees, some of whom let out small screams. I stepped in front of Kyle, who had barged in without warning. "You tricked me. Why does that button have a patent?" The commotion brought Mr. Martin to the scene. "If you're going to make such a scene, I'll have to call the police. If you can calm down and talk, let's head to the meeting room." At the mention of the police, Kyle flared his nostrils but silently followed Mr. Martin and the rest of us. Taking the place of the nervous female employees, I brought the tea just in case. I made sure the tea I served to Kyle was lukewarm. Now about the issue at hand, the patent for the button. I developed the cutting method, so we secured the patent. That means only our company can produce those buttons, Mr. Martin explained calmly. Hearing this, Kyle's eyes widened and he burst out in anger. "Why didn't you tell me? I told my president, Mr. Moore, that we could save costs by making those buttons ourselves with cheaper in-house products. Now I find out we can't copy them because of the patent. Why should we have to tell you that?" I thought silently, observing his tantrum. We weren't hiding anything. The patent information was clearly displayed at the exhibition. Was it? Yes, it was written clearly. I showed him a photo on my phone of Freddie and me at the exhibition booth. In the background, behind the two of us smiling and making peace signs, there was a banner that read, "Patented cutting method for natural stone buttons." Well, he probably hadn't noticed it, given how carelessly he treated the buttons. It was clear Kyle was sloppy and inattentive in many ways. No way. This can't be happening. Mr. Moore said the collection couldn't proceed without those buttons. Kyle's earlier bluster was nowhere to be found as his face turned pale. After all, participating in a collection requires enormous expenses between models, stylists, hair and makeup artists, and promotional costs. The total quickly climbs into the millions. While Motoy is currently a thriving company, its president, Mr. Moore, is said to have the temperament of a pure designer. Once he makes a decision, he is absolutely unwilling to change it. He was a few years ahead of me at fashion school, and my teachers often mentioned him. That guy's got genius in his blood. His sense of style is unparalleled. If someone like him had set his sights on our natural stone buttons, not being able to use them could very well lead to withdrawing from the collection altogether. The potential revenue from the collection would also be lost. I might be speaking as if it's someone else's problem, but this is a serious matter. Please, there's still time. Deliver the buttons to us. I'll make sure you're properly paid. What is this guy even saying? I thought, glaring at Kyle with a bitter expression. After all, he was the one who mocked our company relentlessly and unilaterally canceled the contract. I couldn't accept this at all. Isn't that far too convenient? You looked down on our company and treated our products poorly. You unilaterally canceled the contract, and now you're asking us to deliver the buttons because you're in trouble. Henry is absolutely right. I'm sorry, but we have no intention of selling those natural stone buttons to you. We will not engage in any further transactions with you. Please leave. At Mr. Martin's words, Kyle dropped to his knees in a deep bow. Please, I'm begging you. If you won't sell them to us, could you at least let us use the patent? I'm afraid that's not possible either. Please leave. Do I really need to call the police? With this final warning from Mr. Martin, Kyle's face turned as white as a sheet, and he stumbled out of the office in a daze. Watching him leave, I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. That just goes to show you don't treat people with integrity in your work. This is the kind of ending you'll face. Yes, we should be mindful of that. Learn from others' mistakes and improve ourselves. I'll keep that in mind. I'll be careful too. I'll make sure never to act arrogantly toward others. Oh, Mr. Martin, the Zoom meeting is about to start. We need to hurry. Oh no, we're cutting it close. What's the meeting ID again? Looking at my watch, I saw that our meeting with the international luxury brand was just 10 minutes away, and we rushed to the president's office in a hurry. The truth is, the call I had received earlier was from my ex-girlfriend, Amelia. Amelia is an exceptionally talented designer who landed a job with a prestigious international brand and moved overseas. The reason we broke up was because of her move abroad. I wanted to go with her, but I didn't have the skills to make it in a foreign environment. Though she genuinely wanted to stay with me and even considered finding a way to remain in Japan, I insisted, you need to go overseas, and sent her off. Amelia cried, and I admit I put on a brave face, but it was her life. I wanted her to travel the world freely and wholeheartedly pursue her dreams. Take care. I watched her plane take off, tears streaming down my face, a bittersweet memory from the past. After gaining experience and honing her craft overseas, Amelia had been entrusted with an entire collection by her brand, a major accomplishment. But under immense pressure and struggling for inspiration, Amelia impulsively returned to Japan. Upon hearing about an exhibition, she stumbled upon Martin's natural stone buttons. Seeing the buttons sparked her creativity, and she rushed back to her hotel, working tirelessly to complete her design sketches without even stopping to eat or drink. The idea of making each natural stone button unique, almost like a serial number, struck her as fascinating. After consulting her team back overseas, they decided to proceed with the concept. So I need those buttons, as many as you can spare. Amelia's cheerful and familiar voice on the phone surprised me, and her request astonished me even more. It felt like she was a savior sent to rescue us. When I explained our current predicament, Amelia was furious. Who is this guy? I can't believe it. People like that exist? He doesn't even. I was shocked, but I'm even more surprised that you called out of the blue. It's like a miracle. Hey, Amelia, don't take this the wrong way, but are you sure about this? Excuse me. Okay. Why even ask? But don't worry. I would never break a contract like that. Keeping the call connected, I hurried over to Mr. Martin. I explained about Amelia and how she wanted as many buttons as we could provide, and Mr. Martin looked visibly surprised. It was understandable. These past few hours had been such a roller coaster that it was hard to keep up. Sorry, can I take over the call, Amelia? Mr. Martin says he'd like to speak with you directly. Is that okay? Of course. Please let him know everything. I handed my phone to Mr. Martin, and the two of them began talking. After about 20 minutes, seemingly having covered all the main points, the conversation came to an end. Returning the phone to me, Mr. Martin spoke with a reflective tone. This is incredible. Things like this really happen, don't they? If she noticed you at the exhibition, she could have said hello. That reminded me of the black-haired woman I'd seen at the exhibition. It must have been Amelia. Now that I thought about it, she had moved with incredible speed back then. She's truly a natural-born genius. I think sketching the designs that came to her mind took priority over talking to me. That's always been her way. Even during dates, she would suddenly exclaim, "Ah," and immediately start sketching a design. At first, it surprised me, but I eventually started calling her creative time and patiently waited until she was done. Amelia always apologized, but I loved seeing her so focused and dedicated. That's why I actually look forward to her creative time. It's a secret I've never shared with anyone, not even her. I'm going to become a famous designer while my grandmother is still alive. I want to repay her for raising me, she often said. That was her mantra, and she worked tirelessly toward that dream. Amelia lost her parents at a young age and was raised by her grandmother in the countryside. Because of this, she didn't have many friends her age growing up. Her grandmother was skilled at dressmaking and had a sewing machine at home. Growing up watching her grandmother make clothes, it's only natural that Amelia became interested in fashion design. I used to make outfits for my Barbie dolls, always with a theme. Today it's a party, tomorrow it's camping. Those were the happiest moments for me. I think I was in middle school when I made a dress for my grandma and she cried tears of joy. That made me so happy. Though the dress was a simple long skirt due to her limited skills at the time, her grandmother was overjoyed. That's when I realized how wonderful it feels to make someone happy with something I created. From then on, all I wanted was to become a designer. I wanted to show my grandma in the countryside that I'd become a professional designer as soon as possible. Amelia adored her grandmother and visited her in the countryside every chance she got. I had the pleasure of meeting her grandmother once, and she was a lovely person who always supported Amelia wholeheartedly. Let's do our best today. The Zoom meeting began. Amelia, Mr. Martin, Freddie, and I continued the discussion. In the end, it was decided that we would supply the current stock of buttons and also take an additional order for more natural stone buttons. Is the budget going to be okay? I asked worriedly, and Amelia laughed. Don't worry, I've already cleared it with the company. Besides, if this collection is a success, it'll definitely benefit the company. My boss always says that designers like me who rely on intuition should take risks and make lots of mistakes. He laughed and said they can cover the cost of any failures by young designers like me. As expected from a world-class luxury brand, the sheer scale of their resources was unimaginable, and honestly, it made me feel a bit overwhelmed. The same was true for Mr. Martin and the others, whose faces were equally tense. That's incredible. Rest assured, we will craft exactly what Amelia envisions, Mr. Martin said. Thank you. When it comes to creating something delicate and intricate, I believe Japanese craftsmanship is unmatched. Regardless of the company's size, great products naturally captivate and enchant people. I felt that with Martin's buttons, they inspired me. So I'm counting on you. As the Zoom call ended, Mr. Martin's eyes glistened with tears, as if all the hard work he had poured into making buttons was finally paying off. For those who create, there's a unique blend of struggle and joy. It's knowing the joy that comes after creating something that gives you the strength to keep going. Reflecting on this, I realized again that while sales is enjoyable, I truly wanted to design. After that, we all came together as a company and worked tirelessly to craft the buttons. When everything was delivered and Amelia's jacket featuring the natural stone buttons was unveiled in her collection, it quickly became a sensation. The idea of treating the one-of-a-kind natural stone buttons like serial numbers resonated with celebrities and royalty who didn't want to be like anyone else, making the collection a resounding success. The pieces fetched high prices and Amelia gained recognition as a promising young designer. The natural stone buttons, which became a centerpiece of Amelia's collection, attracted international orders, significantly boosting Martin's sales. Thank you. It's all thanks to you. I'm heading back to Japan to see my grandmother. I even sent home the trophies and awards I received so she can see them. That's right, your grandma will be so happy. You're her pride and joy. Amelia told me this after the collection had wrapped up and things had settled down a bit. Her voice was filled with joy at the thought of being able to make her grandmother proud. Hey, do you think we could meet up even just for a day? I'd like to thank you properly for everything, maybe over a meal. Her invitation thrilled me, so I made time to visit her. I wanted to meet her even though I was afraid she may tell me about a new partner she had met abroad, which would hurt my remaining sentiments. However, when we met, Amelia said something that caught me off guard in addition to thanking me for the effort. If you're okay with a long-distance relationship, would you be willing to date me again as my boyfriend? I was so happy that I immediately answered yes and gave her a hug. We ultimately got married after a long-distance romance. Amelia was the most beautiful lady in the world, and she wore a bridal gown that she had fashioned herself. I too started crying when I saw her granny sobbing with happiness. We had the world's happiest wedding, vowing to be the finest partners in life and at business.